Hello, Blake Rudis here with Everyday HDR and HDRinsider.com, and today I'm going to show you how you can use the path blur so that you can take a static display image like this and turn it into something like this and make it more creative. Now to do that, we're going to use the path blur to spin these cannons that are on the left side of the aircraft, as well as the propeller blade here. Alright, so let's take a look at this path blur. Now, the path blur typically is basically a blur that you can create a path and then the image will blur. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that on the cannon and we're going to do that on the propeller blade here. This is a static display image. We're going to make it look like some things are in action. Now, this is before all the guns went blazing like you saw in the intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to duplicate the layer by pressing Command or Control J. I'm going to go to Filter, and I'm going to go to Blur Gallery, and then Path Blur. So what the Path Blur does is right here, it's going to give you a line. And if you move that line, it starts to blur it based on how you move that line. All right. So if you grab this little spot in the middle, it will now blur and pull in the direction that you want it to go. So that's how it's going to blur. So this is a very, very creative and clever way to make a blur in an image. If you press Control, you can click and drag that over to this side. So we'll put this point right here, we'll put this point right here, and then we'll move this point to the top of that blade. Now, you can see how our motion starts to decrease based on how wide we have this path blur and where we place it. So let's place that path blur right there on that side, and we'll pull this motion out so that we get a nice blur on just that little propeller blade there. And then we'll go ahead and press OK. So what that did is it blurred our entire image, which we don't want the entire image blurred, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a mask here. And that mask is going to be white, so I can press Command or Control I to invert it. And then I can use my paintbrush to paint back in with white just on that area where I want that blade to come back and be blurred. All right, so that's pretty cool there. So now that's just one blade that's blurring, but a lot of times what you see when you see propeller blades rotating is multiple different paths of blur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my marquee tool, and I'm just going to grab right here, and I'm going to click on this layer and press Control J. So that will just duplicate just what I did here in this gradient map below. So now I'll press Command or Control T, and that will allow me to grab this and move this around. I will now click on the outside and just turn it just like that so that that blade is now turned right about here. Now, of course, I don't need the rest of this stuff that is all over this blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another mask on there. Press Command or Control I, and then just paint back in the area where that propeller blade was to make that blade appear so that nothing else gets affected. See that? So I didn't bring anything else back in there. Now with that, I can press Command or Control J, duplicate that. And now I'll press Control T, right click inside, flip horizontal, and move that on over to this side. And that will give us some of our spinning blur on this side. So now our propeller is done. Let's do the same thing for these cannons up here. It's basically going to be the same process, but we're going to do a couple different things when we paint in on that area. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this background layer. It's listed as gradient map because this is a smaller breakdown of everything else I did on the image before. So I'll press Command or Control J, duplicate that background area, filter, blur gallery, path blur. Same thing. We're just going to press Control, drag this right up to here, put one of these right here, one of these right here, and then this middle one right here. So it gives us this illusion that everything is blurring, or spinning, I should say, but it looks like it's all spinning in one direction. So let's go ahead and make another point. So we can add another point here, add another point here, add another point here, and then we'll go ahead and connect these. You have to click back on that last point. So that's going to make another kind of path that we can blur along. So we'll just bring this point here, bring this point up and around here, and then bring this point here. So now it looks like this cannon is spinning in that rotational type of blur that we would see in one of those cannons. So I'll go ahead and press OK. And again, this blurred the entire photograph. So what I'm going to do is make a mask, Control I to invert that mask, and then just slowly paint back in with white on those areas that I want that blur to happen on. All right, so that might be a little too much because now it looks like we can't see anything in the blur that's happening there. So what I can do is just drop the opacity just a little bit so that we can still kind of see a vague hint of the rest of that cannon. You see that? Looks a lot better. It looks like what a Gatling gun would look like if it's spinning and in motion. All right, so here's before and here is after. Now I would do the exact same thing, the same process I did with this one, I would do on each one of these cannons as well. I'm not going to show you that because you can very well use the exact same process that you used for the first one that you can on the second and third. So that just gives you some creative ideas on how you can use the path blur, not to blur the entire photo, but to blur just very small elements within a photo so that you can create some more photo realistic type of artwork. So again, my name is Blake Rudis with Everyday HDR and HDRinsider.com. If you like this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe because every week I put out new tutorials just like this that can help you with your creative workflow. Thank you very much for watching.